Can you really make a tabletop version of an auto battler? I challenge you to find out. Hey everyone, I am Kylie here at Games Unlimited in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And today we're going to talk about Challengers, a very interesting card game that kind of gets described as war for gamers, which sounds super boring, because during the actual playing part of the game, you're not making any decisions at all. Now, I'm probably not endearing you to the game right now, but I encourage you to think about it like a lot of computer games, a lot of sort of tablet and phone games that are called auto battlers. These are games where you make decisions ahead of time. You're like maybe putting your party together, making some changes to your team, but then when they actually go and fight, you don't do anything at all. You just kind of watch what happens, hope that you win, learn some lessons from it, and then you go back and you make some changes to your team and do things like that. That's basically what Challengers does. So I've mentioned it's kind of like war. Both players, and this does up to 8 players. I'll talk about how it does that in a second. But each individual game is going to be one-on-one. So you start off with a deck of cards, and these just have numbers on them. Some 1s, some 2s, 3s, and 4s, and you're just going to shuffle them up and play a card down. So I just played a 2. If I was the first player, I win the flag because I am winning with that 2. Now the next player is going to play cards until they can beat 2. So let's say they play a 1, great, okay, and then the next card they play is a 2. They'll add that together, so they got a 3, they are beating me. But only the last card they played, that 2 on top, everything else kind of slides under. So though they've beat me with a 3, now I only have to beat a 2. I only have to beat the number of the last card that they played. So they're going to go out there with their 2. The cards that I had played get discarded, and that's very important. Talk about that in a second. And then I pull more cards until I can beat their 2, or their 3, or their 6, or their 12, or whatever it is that they have. If I run out of cards before I beat them, they win. They get the flag. They get the points for that round. But another way that you can lose, so I mentioned that you discard cards. So when you discard cards after your opponent has beaten your last play, those cards get discarded. You have 6 spots to discard cards into. Now those 6 spots are very important. You can discard all of the same type of card to one spot. So like all of those 1s, they have the same name. So all the 1s can go in the same spot. But if I have a lot of different cards in my deck, and I have all 6 spots filled, and I need to discard something else that would take a 7th spot, I'm out, I lose, opponent gets the win. So you want a deck of cards that has high numbers in it, but you also want to you don't want to have too much of a diversity in the deck. And this is where the actual decision points come in the game. So I mentioned, you have this starter deck of cards. They're just plain vanilla cards, but before the first game, you're going to get to add some cards to your deck. Now, cards are divided into sort of power levels. There's A, B, and C. You'll start off with a couple of A's. So you'll draw 5 of these cards, and you get to look at them and decide which ones you want to add to your deck. So there's just basic things, like this pony is just 3 points. But you've also got stuff like the vendor here. Now, the vendor, this is part of the sort of circusy theme. There's a bunch of different themes of decks. You're going to shuffle a bunch of them together. But what this one does is it's worth 2 points. But it gives, when it's on the bench, so after I've taken this card, used it, and it's ended up in the discard pile, it's going to give all of my other circus cards +1 power. So let's see, the Hermit here. If you have no plain vanilla cards on your bench, she gets +2 power. So you're trying, as you add cards to your deck, to make combos. Now, I also mentioned you don't want too much diversity, so you're also allowed to discard as many cards from your deck as you want. You could discard all but 1 card. Wouldn't recommend it, because as I mentioned, once you run out of cards, you can't play anymore, the opponent's going to win. So you're constantly balancing which cards to add to your deck, what synergies you want in there, what you want to take out, so that during the actual gameplay, your deck's going to be more powerful and beat your opponent. Obviously, there's a little bit of luck of the draw. Now, the way it works, the game feels like a tournament, because it'll play up to 8 players. Let's say you have 8 players, you're going to play each of the other players once over 7 rounds. So the game actually comes with these cards that, based on number of players, you'll deal them out, and they'll tell you which board. There are 4 different colored play boards out there. Which board you're going to be, who your opponent is going to be every round. And an individual round takes like 5 minutes. It's super fast, super simple. But you're going to be trading seats, moving around, beating people, and getting points after all 7 games. And you're going to play 7 games regardless of how many players you have. Then the 2 players with the most points face off in the finale and find out who won the game. There's also, in case you have an odd number of players, there is a bot. There's a robot deck that Again, very simple. You just deal cards from the robot deck when it's their turn, so that even if you have an odd number of players, everyone's going to be playing every single round. So that is Challengers. I think it's quite different, quite brilliant, actually. This is a game that's really going to appeal to someone that wants something light and quick with the low decision space just between rounds to make those decisions, but also a great game to bring out with non-gamers because often they don't want to have to be thinking all the time. It's like, no, just think about what you want to add, and then we're just going to play those cards and see who wins. So that's Challengers, highly recommended. Come on down to Games Unlimited if you're in the Pittsburgh area. Check it out. We'd love to get a copy into your hands. And if you're not, we do free shipping at $100, so pick up a copy of Challengers, take it home, and unbox some fun. I'm Kylie at Games Unlimited.